Although the beauty lacks a head, yet she possesses enchanting magic and a seductive figure. If she offered to be your wife, would you dare to accept? Legend has it in Ireland, a female spirit called Banshee. She will hold her head, riding a headless horse carriage to the homes of the dying. If anyone curious dares to peek, she will splash that person with a basin of fresh blood. 20 years ago, a girl woke up in the deep mountains only to find her head missing. Having lost all her memories, the girl only knew she was a banshee named Kelty. Deep within, Kelty felt the call of her own head, so she resolved to find it, and as time passed, her head followed a ship to Japan. Thus, Kelty transformed the horse into a motorcycle and successfully boarded that ship. But her current appearance was too conspicuous, so she decided to disguise herself as a woman of that era. However, all of this was witnessed by a boy named Shinra. Shinra informed his father, Kishitani, of the matter. As a doctor, Kishitani became intensely interested. Therefore, he proposed to provide accommodation for Shinra in exchange for the opportunity to dissect her unexpectedly. Kelty agreed. Everything about Kelty was like a puzzle. Kishitani had Shinra watch the entire process and even encouraged him to attempt the dissection. Through this form of education, Shinra also possessed excellent medical skills. Since then, Shinra has been fascinated by this extraordinary woman. The two gradually lived together for 20 years. Shinra grew up to become a renowned underground doctor. Kelty took on the role of a bodyguard to earn money. And this story has to start with the young girl Kamachika. Initially, Kamachika led a happy and ordinary life every day, until one day, Kamachika inexplicably received a letter containing photos of her father having an affair. Kamachika hesitated for a long time. Ultimately, she decided to give the letter to her mother. To her surprise, when her mother learned everything, she didn't get angry, as if nothing had happened at all. Gradually, Kamachika became desperate about this indifferent family. She thought of ending it all by death. But the boy on her phone had the same idea as her. It turned out that the boy's girlfriend was Kamachika's father's mistress. This troubled the boy deeply. He wanted to meet Kamachika to escape this despairing world together. So they agreed on a meeting place. But Kamachika felt the man in front of her wasn't the one on her phone. They then arrived at a car where a boy was sitting inside. In the next moment, Kamachika was tied up and put in the car. It turned out they were notorious human traffickers. At that moment, Kelty suddenly appeared, easily dispatching one of the traffickers. The other trafficker, seeing this, immediately drove off. Kelty quickly gave chase, but was knocked down and couldn't get up. Just as the trafficker was feeling triumphant, Kelty swiftly got up, reaching for where her head should be. Then pulling out a black scythe in the moonlight's glow. It looked like the weapon of a Grim Reaper. All of this is Kelty's job, and what she has to do next is to take Kamachika to the agreed location. Finally, on the rooftop, Kamachika met Linya, the man, from her phone. It turned out he had sold Kamachika's information to the traffickers and then arranged for Kelty to rescue her. His purpose in doing so was to see Kamachika's reaction today. Linya was very pleased he had thrown Kamachika's emotions into chaos. But Kamachika's response was truly boring, as she never wanted to die from the beginning. With that, Linya left the rooftop. Yet today's events left Kamachika utterly disillusioned with the world. Without hesitation, she jumped from a high building. At that critical moment, Kelty saved Kamachika. Then Kelty showed her a text message. In that moment, Kamachika thought of her parents. Perhaps they were not as unbearable as she had imagined. And at that moment, Kamachika began to forgive her parents. Recently, Kelty has been having the same dream every day. She dreams of her head being taken by the dark night. Each time, Kelty wakes up in terror and unease. Kelty's low spirits also affect Shinra beside her. The two of them often argue about this. But on that particular night, Kelty had a different dream. She dreamt of her true self. At the same time, her head wandered to a brother and sister's home. Young Seiji and his sister, Nami, lived in a large mansion. The two of them stayed with their uncle for a long time. One day, Nami went to her uncle's study and saw a woman's head there. Her uncle said it was smuggled from overseas. But one day, Nami quietly took Seiji to the study to see. Unexpectedly, Seiji fell in love at first sight with the woman's head. Years later, before Seiji entered high school, he confessed to Nami that he had feelings for someone. Nami knew that Seiji's affection was not for a human, but for a woman's head. To protect him, Nami handed the head over to the Yaguri Pharmaceutical Company, their family's company. Just as everyone was about to conduct research on the head, Nami's access card was stolen, and the head vanished with it. Shortly after, Nami received a call from Seiji. Seiji said in a panic on the phone that he had killed someone. The girl Seiji killed was his classmate Mitsuki, who deeply loved Seiji, but Seiji disregarded her affections. Because of this, Mitsuki followed him every day, even sneaking into his residence. She was killed by Seiji for seeing Seiji's secret. To completely protect Seiji and satisfy his twisted desires, Nami dealt with Mitsuki's body and the head. After that, around Seiji a woman with a neck injury appeared. For the sake of his love, Seiji decided to elope with this woman, but an accident occurred. Kelty's body saw her head, but when she reached the entrance of the subway station, Seiji and the woman were rescued by a boy named Mikado and hidden away. The next day, Seiji found the boy Mikado and explained the reason behind his pursuit of the woman. After hearing about Kelty's plight, Mikado decided to help her. However, the woman suddenly disappeared and Nami's subordinates found him. Fortunately, Kelty discovered this in time and hurried back, saving Mikado. After they left, Mikado opened his computer and accessed a mysterious website. It turned out that Mikado was born in a small town. He was righteous and introverted and always wanted to do something meaningful. So, following the advice of a few online friends, he created an organization called Dollars and continuously expanded its membership. Gradually, the number of members kept increasing, bringing along with it gradually emerging issues. Some claiming to be part of the Dollars organization began to commit crimes. The people who had founded Dollars together in the beginning also chose to quit out of fear. But Mikado did not quit. He sincerely hoped that Dollars could become a just organization. Invited by a friend, Mikado came to Ikebukuro. Through his efforts, the reputation of Dollars also started to improve. The next day, Mikado arranged to meet Nami on the street. Nami thought Mikado wanted money, but Mikado directly persuaded Nami to turn herself in, speaking with such righteousness that it made Nami burst into laughter. After mocking him, Nami then directed her subordinates to take action. Unexpectedly, Mikado pulled out his phone and pressed the send button for a message, instantly triggering the sound of incoming texts. As everyone's phones on the street began to react, with the help of Dollars members, they found the girl with a scar on her neck. At the same time, Seiji also arrived at the scene. The angry Kelty wanted to attack Seiji, but at that moment the girl stood in front of Seiji, tears streaming down her face. In that fleeting moment, Kelty distinctly felt that the head was not hers. It turned out that Mitsuki was not killed by Seiji, but had undergone plastic surgery by Nami to look like the girl Seiji favored. The doctor told Mitsuki her new name was Kelty, and for Seiji's sake, Mitsuki was determined to become Kelty. However, Kelty sensed something amiss because only Dr. Shinra knew the name Kelty, and it was revealed that Dr. Shinra had been in love with Kelty for 20 years. It was because of this that he did not want Kelty to recover her head. Dr. Shinra feared that if Kelty found her head, she would leave him, so he deliberately concealed the truth. But Kelty firmly believed that even if she found her head, she would not leave. However, Dr. Shinra believed that if her head had independent consciousness, it was likely she would leave him, a possibility that deeply frightened him. Kelty was now also very afraid. While no one could kill her if someone destroyed her head, she might completely disappear. On the other hand, Seiji admitted he did not love Mitsuki, but as long as he looked at Mitsuki, he would not forget his love for that head. So he accepted Mitsuki's love. On that day, Kelty and Shinra were at home with nothing to do. Kelty playfully teased Shinra by changing disguises back and forth. Just as Shinra was about to make a move, a doorbell interrupted their sweet moment. Shinra opened the door. Suddenly a woman gave him a warm hug. The woman's name was Mikajima, a nurse who had married Shinra's father Kishitani abroad last year. Yes, the woman in front of them was their stepmother. As their relationship grew closer, Mikajima often came to Kelty for help. However, if Kelty could call her mom, Mikajima would surely be very touched. But Kelty couldn't agree yet, as she was still contemplating her future with Shinra. However, Shinra's father Kishitani believed Kelty was already his daughter-in-law. But having a father-in-law who treated his daughter-in-law as an experimental subject was truly perverse. Kelty didn't want to deal with him, so she signaled for Mikajima to give her the wages for these days. In just 1 week she had earned a substantial income. Kelty planned to use this money to buy Shinra a new pair of glasses. However, as Kelty waited at a red light, she met a reporter who was out doing a live interview. The reporter were curious why Kelty's motorcycle had no lights or plates and questioned her about why she was driving dangerously. Faced with so many questions from the reporter, Kelty directly transformed her motorcycle into a headless horse. But just as Kelty was about to leave, the police arrived. Even if she was a monster, she couldn't break traffic rules. Afraid of being caught, Kelty immediately fled. But the sharp reporter were not willing to let go of such a big story. Thus a three-way chase unfolded in the city. Faced with multiple blockades, Kelty once again transformed her motorcycle into the headless horse image, then lightly leaped onto a wall. But the police and reporter did not give up. In order to shake them off completely, Kelty had to use the black mist to create a huge glide umbrella and leave the rooftop, and all of this was being live-streamed by the reporter. This shocking scene caught the attention of a pair of mysterious twin sisters, and Kelty's enigmatic image also drew the interest of entertainment company owner Bees. Bees thought that if he could sign Kelty and package her as a star, it would bring him immense wealth. Kelty had finally managed to escape, but something very headache-inducing happened to her. She had lost 1 million yen, so she had to start a citywide search, but encountered a group of delinquents who pointed at Kelty and claimed she was a walking 10 million yen. Seeing the situation turning sour, Kelty had to make a quick getaway. It turned out to be Bees offering a 10 million yen reward to find Kelty. Shinra, tired after a day's work, came home wanting comfort from his wife, only to find Kelty in an even lower mood, transforming herself into a ball. Kelty was extremely downcast, not only for losing 1 million yen, but also being the subject of a reward. Kelty kindly comforted Shinra, which lifted her spirits a bit. However, Kelty was still very apologetic. She had intended to use that money to buy Shinra a gift, so she decided to immerse herself in the next job. A group of rioters with yellow markings has recently appeared in the city, committing all sorts of atrocities. They claim to be from an organization called Golden Thief, leading to deteriorating public order in the city. As a result, many police officers had expanded their patrol areas to earn money. Kelty had become busier lately. She kept shuttling through the streets, when suddenly a group of police officers started chasing her relentlessly until they cornered Kelty. The police said monsters should stay where they belong. Wandering around like her was clearly challenging human rules and regulations. Helpless, Kelty had to seize the opportunity to escape. Upon entering the house, Kelty rushed into Shinra's arms, trembling uncontrollably. Shinra noticed something was wrong and asked what was the matter. Kelty mentioned how scary the police had been recently, constantly chasing after her. Shinra could only comfort her repeatedly and advise her to be more careful in the future. Shinra mentioned that their father had returned and wanted Kelty to go and greet him. Meanwhile, a masked man was being attacked by a group of thugs, continuously beaten. Just then Kelty suddenly appeared and immediately released her black mist, scaring the thugs away. Returning home, Shinra heard sounds of someone showering in the bathroom and got some mischievous ideas. He sneakily approached the bathroom door and opened it, only to find a masked man bathing inside. Disappointed, Shinra lay on the sofa complaining incessantly. The man turned out to be Shinra's father, Kishitani. Kishitani wore a mask because he felt the city's air was bad. Shinra asks his father for Kelty's reward for bringing him back, but Kishitani refused to pay up, so the two of them teamed up to take money from his pockets. Kishitani felt quite sad, because Shinra was so obsessed with Kelty that he even had to scheme against his own father. However, Shinra mentioned that being enchanted by Kelty was his wish, which delighted Kelty to no end. Kishitani was also puzzled that Kelty could fall in love with his son. Kelty confirmed their relationship positively. Shinra didn't expect Kelty would openly admit their relationship, and he was extremely excited seeing this scene. Kishitani also acknowledged their relationship. However, from now on, Kelty had to call him Dad. Kishitani remarked that Kelty was always so careless that he could sneak her head away without her noticing. Kishitani was so delighted that he accidentally let slip the secret. Kishitani had no choice but to admit that he had taken Kelty's head and given it to the Yagiri Pharmaceutical Company. He then claimed to have something to give the two of them. As Kishitani reached the door, and while they were distracted, he immediately made his escape. Kelty chased after him but couldn't find anyone, yet she spotted Mikado sitting idly in the park. After questioning him, Kelty learned that there had been a rise in thugs lately, some of whom were using the dollar's name. The sudden emergence of the Golden Thief group had intensified tensions, with the dollars pushing the city's balance to the brink of collapse. Kelty promised to help him investigate the Golden Thief and the dollars. She sought out the information broker Izaya for intel, but it involves a demon sword called Sinsong. Sinsong was a sentient demon blade capable of severing souls and manipulating others' consciousness to control their actions. As Kelty left, Kishitani used a toy gun to abduct Nami to Izaya. It seemed like the three of them were already acquainted. Kishitani informed Izaya that to awaken Kelty's head, it would be best to make those close to her suffer. Meanwhile, Shinra suddenly found Kelty and informed her about Sinsong. At one point Sinsong had been in his father Kishitani's possession, but he sold it to an antique dealer several years